Hello and welcome back to Native Year.
It's wonderful to be here.
This is the channel where we really try to give you that essential, practical English that you need to, navigate the professional world.
And your daily life with confidence.
Exactly, with confidence. And today we are tackling a situation that is just, well, it's universal. We're talking about communicating professionally about time.
And about deadlines.
Deadlines, yes.
That's right. In any job or even just in your personal life, being able to ask for more time professionally is such a crucial skill.
It really is.
If you're working on something, a big project, and you realize you just can't finish it by the date, you need the right words.
You need clear, polite, effective language to communicate that.
Exactly, to communicate it to the people who are, depending on you.
Right. So our mission today is simple, but the results, we think, will be profound. We're going to analyze a real-life work conversation.
And it's a bit of a high-pressure one, actually.
It is, and we're going to extract every single little nugget of useful language from it. By the time we finish this deep dive, you will be able to clearly, professionally, ask for an extension.
You'll be able to explain those unavoidable delays.
And use vocabulary that will just make you sound more natural, more confident in any professional setting.
The goal here is really deep understanding and immediate application.
Immediate.
I'm going to break down every single useful word, every phrase, and do it slowly, very clearly.
And provide enough context and examples so that you can start using this language, well, today.
Right away.
And joining us, as always, is our resident English instructor who brings that calm, clear, professional teaching tone we all rely on.
It's truly a pleasure to guide you through this lesson. We know that speaking clearly when you're under pressure is a challenge. And we want to make sure every phrase we cover really sticks with you so you can just access it when you need it most.
Okay, so let's start with a question, just to spark your curiosity.
Great idea.
Think about your own life, maybe your job, or even a task at home. How do you usually ask for extra time when you're running late?
What words do you use? You wait.
Yeah, do you wait until the last minute? Just keep that in your mind, because today we're going to give you a professional script for handling that situation perfectly.
And while you're thinking about that, please just take a quick moment to like this deep dive.
And subscribe to the Native Year channel.
And share it with your family and friends. We really want them not to miss these essential lessons.
Okay, let's set the scene for our conversation. The situation involves an employee, her name is Casey, and her boss.
And Casey has been tasked with putting together something called a press kit.
A press kit. We should probably define that for our listeners.
Yes, we should. It's a very common piece of business vocabulary. So a press kit, in its simplest form, is a set of prepared materials.
Okay. Materials like what?
Usually high-quality pictures of the company, its products, company logos, documents like bios, just key information.
And what's the point of all that? Why do companies prepare them?
Well, they create them so that when, say, a magazine or a newspaper or even a big blog wants to write an article about the company.
They have everything ready to go.
Exactly. The marketing department can just give it to the reporters instantly. It saves a huge amount of time.
And I imagine it makes sure all the information is accurate.
Precisely. The information is accurate. The branding is correct. It's all about control.
Excellent. So Casey is in charge of getting these photos ready for this really important public-facing press kit. She has a strict deadline.
And now she's talking to her boss.
Okay. So for this first listen, we're going to play the dialogue at a normal speed.
Right, just as it would happen in a real office.
And for you, our listener, just focus on the main idea. Don't worry about every single word right now.
Just listen to the tone. Casey's tone when she's asking for help, and the boss's tone when they react to the news of the delay.
Okay, here is the dialogue between Casey and her boss. Boss? Casey, how are things going with the photos for the press kit? Casey. Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. I might need to ask for an extension on that deadline. Boss? You've had over a month to get this finalized. Why are things delayed? Casey.
Well, the thing is, we ran into a lot of problems, boss. I'm not looking for excuses here. I just want to get this finished on time, Casey. I know, and I apologize for the delay, but some things were just beyond my control. I had trouble booking the photographer, and then Michael was sick for 3 weeks, so I couldn't include him in the photos. And the design team lost all the files, so I had to redo the pictures. Boss, I'm not going to put this off any longer, Casey. I want those photos. ASAP. Wow.
Yeah.
Even just at normal speed, you can feel that tension, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. The boss is clearly frustrated. You can hear that loss of patience.
And they are putting all that pressure directly onto Casey.
They are, but Casey, she uses some really excellent professional English to handle that difficult situation. Okay, so let's dive into our language takeaway section. We're going to analyze the key vocabulary slowly and clearly.
And give you the tools you need to manage time effectively.
All right, let's unpack this language. Our first word is one that you can't avoid in the professional world.
It's the foundation of this whole conversation.
It is. The word is deadline.
Deadline. Let's have you repeat that slowly and clearly with me. Deadline.
So a deadline is the final date or, the absolute last minute when a task or project must be done.
It really marks the point of no return.
I like how you can hear the two parts of the word.
Right. Dead and line.
Dead implies finality, and line is like a boundary you can't cross.
If you cross that deadline, you failed the task.
Right. So think about school. Your teacher says the report is due Friday at 5 p.m.
Then Friday at 5 p.m. is the absolute deadline.
Exactly.
And in a work environment, we use specific verbs with this word. We talk about needing to meet a deadline.
Or make a deadline.
Right. And when you meet the deadline, that means you finish the work on time. Perfectly.
But if you miss the deadline,
that means you failed to finish the work by the required time.
There's a really important strategic difference here. Sometimes you hear people talk about a hard deadline versus a soft deadline.
That's a great point. Can you explain that distinction?
Well, a hard deadline is one that just cannot be moved. Let's say a client's big product launch is on Monday.
Okay, that's a hard deadline.
It is. Missing it means serious financial consequences, public consequences.
And a soft deadline.
A soft deadline might be more of an internal goal, like, hey, please finish the draft by Friday. It's important, but if it comes in Monday morning...
the world won't end.
Exactly. And understanding which kind of deadline you have, hard or soft, really changes how urgently you need to communicate your problems.
That's incredibly helpful. And in our dialogue, the boss's tone, it suggests this press kit deadline is quickly becoming a hard deadline.
It certainly does.
And if you know you're going to miss the deadline, you have to do something. You have to take action.
Which brings us directly to our second vocabulary word.
It does. The next word is extension.
Extension.
Say that with me again carefully. Extension. Notice that the stress is on the middle part, 10. Extension.
So an extension is, it's the act of asking for more time or receiving more time.
You're formally moving the original deadline further into the future.
Right. You're asking for the deadline to be extended or stretched out.
So if you can't meet your original deadline, you must ask for an extension.
And Casey, in our dialogue, she uses the perfect language for this. She says, I might need to ask for an extension on that deadline.
And notice she uses the phrase, ask for an extension. That little word for is so important.
It is, isn't it?
Yes. We ask for an extension, and a manager will either grant the extension, which means they approve it, or they'll deny the extension.
Right. You might hear someone say, I got a 2-week extension on my paper. Yeah.
Which shows the new amount of time they were given.
So what about smaller situations? Like, if I'm just running 10 minutes late for a phone call, I wouldn't ask for an extension.
That's a really good point. No, you wouldn't. For very short delays, we might use the term grace period.
A grace period.
Yeah, it's a short amount of time after the deadline where it's still okay to be late, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. But for a big task like Casey's, you always use the formal word, extension.
Okay, moving to our third word. This is a crucial one, a phrasal verb for talking about unexpected problems.
Which is exactly what happened to Casey.
The phrase is ran into, as in ran into problems.
Ran into. This is the past tense of run into.
Yeah.
And it is one of the most natural, common phrases in American English.
To run into something means to meet it or encounter it unexpectedly.
And usually it's something negative. We use it almost all the time when we're talking about problems, trouble, or, technical difficulties.
This is how Casey explains her delay. She says, well, the thing is, we ran into a lot of problems.
And that just immediately sounds professional. It sounds natural. It tells her boss the problems weren't planned. They just appeared.
Right, like running into a wall you didn't see coming.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about a common mistake here. This is a big one for a lot of learners. Why is it wrong to say, I met some problems?
It's incorrect because in English, we use the verb meet for people. You meet a friend. You meet a new coworker.
Okay.
When you're talking about things that aren't people, like problems or trouble, ran into is what shows that surprise, that sudden barrier.
So saying I met some problems sounds like you had a scheduled meeting with them.
That's a perfect way to think about it. Scheduled versus surprise.
So if I was walking down the street and I saw an old friend I wasn't expecting to see, I could say, I ran into John yesterday.
Exactly. You can run into people and you can run into problems. It works for both.
Okay, let's use the specific examples from our source material just to lock this in. Slowly and clearly.
Okay, example 1. We ran into a storm on our way home.
Meaning we unexpectedly encountered bad weather.
Example 2. I ran into some trouble with my computer.
Which means I had an unexpected technical issue that stopped me from working.
So remember, use ran into. It really does make your English sound so much more natural.
And it conveys that feeling of unexpected difficulty.
Finally, our fourth core vocabulary word for this section is delayed.
Delayed. Say that slowly and pay attention to that hard sound at the end. Delayed.
When a project or an action is delayed, it simply means it's late.
It's happening later than it was originally planned.
Right. It implies there's been some kind of setback, an unwelcome pause.
The opposite of delayed would be on time.
Or even ahead of schedule.
Right. So the boss asks Casey, why are things delayed? He's asking for the reason for the lateness.
And notice the boss uses the passive voice there. Things are delayed. He's focusing on the late project, not blaming Casey directly in that one sentence.
We use this word all the time. Your flight might be delayed. A train can be delayed.
A construction project, its opening date is delayed.
Or in this case, the press kit project was delayed.
And, we should also just briefly introduce the idea of procrastination here.
Okay.
Casey's problems were external. But sometimes people choose to be delayed. They put things off.
So that's when the project is delayed because of your own actions, or I guess lack of action.
Exactly. And one final word that's very closely related to delayed is rushed.
Rushed.
When a project is delayed, the final steps are often rushed. You have to work too quickly to finish, and the quality often goes down.
Which is why avoiding delays is so important in the first place. So mastering these 4 words, deadline, extension, ran into, and delayed, gives you that professional foundation to talk about time management clearly and responsibly.
It really does.
Fantastic. We have analyzed those 4 key vocabulary words. Now we're going to listen to the dialogue one more time.
And this time, it will be at a slightly slower speed.
Right. This speed is designed to help you, our learner, really process the sounds, the rhythm of the language.
And we want you to actively listen for those 4 words we just learned. Deadline, extension, ran into, and delayed.
See if you can clearly hear them in the conversation. Listen closely. Boss. Casey, how are things going with the photos for the press kit? Casey. Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. I might need to ask for an extension on that deadline. Boss. You've had over a month to get this finalized. Why are things delayed? Casey.
Well, the thing is, we ran into a lot of problems. Boss. I'm not looking for excuses here. I just want to get this finished on time. Casey. I know, and I apologize for the delay, but some things were just beyond my control. I had trouble booking the photographer, and then Michael was sick for 3 weeks, so I couldn't include him in the photos, and the design team lost all the files, so I had to redo the pictures. Boss, I'm not going to put this off any longer, Casey. I want those photos ASAP.
I hope that second listening really helped you hear those terms used naturally. And now we're going to move on to our Fluency Builder segment.
This is where we move from single words to longer phrases.
The chunks of language that native speakers use all the time. And these are the phrases you can immediately use in your own conversations. Mastering them will help you sound so much more natural and fluent.
Yes. And these 3 phrases are all about managing the relationship and the tone of a difficult conversation, not just the words themselves.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay, our first fluency phrase. This one is, I think, maybe the most polite and essential way to start a conversation when you have to deliver bad news.
The one you used to soften the blow a little bit?
Exactly. The phrase is, I've been meaning to talk to you.
I've been meaning to talk to you, so let's analyze that. What's the hidden meaning? Why is that phrase so effective?
Well, it's effective because it suggests you've been aware of the problem for a while. You've been thinking about it.
So it doesn't sound like you just discovered the problem 5 minutes ago and now you're panicking.
Exactly. It implies preparation and respect for the other person's time.
Casey uses this as her very first sentence. She says, yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
It signals to her boss that this conversation has been on her mind. It's essentially a gentle way of saying, I have important news, and I'm choosing to deliver it now.
And the structure is always "I've been meaning to," and then a verb, right?
That's right. Let's look at some examples. For instance, explaining a delay. I'm sorry I haven't called you back. I've been meaning to call you all week.
Or expressing a long-term plan. "I've been meaning to visit that new museum, but I just never find the time." But let me ask you this. If the boss is already frustrated, couldn't using that phrase sound a little passive? Like, "Why didn't you talk to me sooner?"
That is a brilliant question. And it really gets to the nuance of professional communication. Yes. In a really urgent situation, it can sound passive if you wait too long.
So timing is everything.
Timing is everything. If Casey had talked to her boss 3 weeks ago when her coworker first got sick, the phrase would have been perfect.
But since she waited until the boss asked her.
It still works as a polite opener, but the boss is hearing it through a filter of impatience.
So what's a more direct alternative if the situation is really urgent?
You might say something like, I need to discuss the deadline with you immediately.
Or, "I wanted to catch you quickly about the photo schedule."
Exactly. A little more direct. But I've been meaning to is still a fantastic default phrase for starting sensitive conversations politely.
Okay. Our next phrase is one Casey uses to professionally defend herself.
And it's an incredibly useful one. The phrase is, beyond my control.
Beyond my control.
This phrase means that the problem, the delay, it came from something that was outside of your power to manage or to change.
So you're saying it wasn't your fault?
Yes. It implies you couldn't have prevented it, even by working harder or smarter. It's a very professional way to explain these unavoidable issues.
And Casey says, "I know, and I apologize for the delay, but some things were just beyond my control."
And notice how she uses it with an apology. The apology shows respect.
And the phrase justifies the problem.
Exactly. And she's referring to those external factors.
Yeah.
A sick coworker, lost files from another team.
Yeah.
Those are perfect examples of things that are beyond your control.
Right. So a simple example. If your computer crashes and you lose an hour of work, you can say,
The computer failure was beyond my control.
It's a great phrase for shifting blame away from yourself and onto a real external factor.
It is. Okay, our final phrase for this section is another crucial phrasal verb. Put this off.
Put this off. And this one is used by the boss, showing his frustration.
Right. This phrasal verb means to postpone or delay doing something, to leave a task for later.
It's often used when we talk about procrastination.
That's right. If you have a difficult email to write today, but you decide, I'll do it tomorrow, you are putting it off.
You're postponing it.
And in our dialogue, the boss says, I'm not going to put this off any longer, Casey.
Meaning he's done waiting. He feels the project has been delayed too many times.
He wants action now. No more postponing.
Let's look at how we use this in different tenses. So, describing procrastination.
You could say, I've been putting off this boring task for a week, using that continuous tense putting off.
And asking to reschedule a meeting.
Can we put off our meeting until next week?
Perfect. These three phrases, "I've been meaning to," "beyond my control," and "put this off," will absolutely elevate your professional conversations.
They will make you sound so much more fluent.
All right. We've covered the vocabulary and the fluency phrases. Now we're ready for the strategic deep dive.
This is where we analyze the communication strategy, the psychology of this difficult conversation.
It's all about applying the language when the pressure is on. So we're going to listen to the dialogue one final time.
And at this point, you should be able to understand every single word and phrase.
Right? We've broken down all the core language for you.
Okay, let's listen.
Boss. Casey, how are things going with the photos for the press kit? Casey. Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. I might need to ask for an extension on that deadline. Boss. You've had over a month to get this finalized. Why are things delayed? Casey.
Well, the thing is, we ran into a lot of problems, boss. I'm not looking for excuses here. I just want to get this finished on time. Casey. I know, and I apologize for the delay, but some things were just beyond my control. I had trouble booking the photographer, and then Michael was sick for 3 weeks, so I couldn't include him in the photos. And the design team lost all the files, so I had to redo the pictures. Boss, I'm not going to put this off any longer, Casey. I want those photos ASAP.
The communication from Casey's side is actually very structured, even though she's under pressure.
It is. She does 3 important things. She apologizes. She states the overall problem.
And then she gives detailed, concrete evidence.
Let's really look at that evidence. These are the specific problems she ran into.
The problems that were beyond her control.
Exactly. First, she had trouble booking the photographer. Right. An external scheduling failure, common problem.
Second, Michael, a coworker, was sick for 3 weeks.
A major internal issue. A necessary person was just not available.
And third, and this is maybe the worst one, the design team lost all the files.
Forcing Casey to redo the pictures entirely? That's a huge setback. And it was caused by another team. Definitely not her fault.
So when you stack up those 3 points, you see why she says it was beyond her control. She's giving strong, specific evidence.
Yes. But even with that strong evidence, the boss is still frustrated. He cuts her off and says, "I'm not looking for excuses here."
And this highlights a really critical point in workplace communication.
The difference between giving a legitimate reason and just making an excuse.
Why is that difference so important?
Because a reason is a valid explanation. It's often related to factors that were genuinely beyond your control. A good reason is concrete, it's specific.
And an excuse.
An excuse is often vague. It's an attempt to avoid responsibility, or maybe to cover up a simple mistake like, poor planning or even laziness.
And the boss's reaction shows he's worried Casey's just trying to blame other people for her own poor time management.
She had to prove quickly that her reasons were legitimate.
Let's use that classic example from childhood to make this unforgettable. The most famous excuse of all time.
My dog ate my homework.
Great.
It's the perfect excuse. It's vague, it shifts the blame to the poor dog, and it covers up the fact that the student just didn't do the work.
The boss is afraid Casey is giving him the adult version of that. The design team ate the files.
Exactly. Her problems, though, the sick coworker, the lost files, are legitimate reasons because they are specific, professional, and directly impacted her work. A good manager knows the difference.
Okay, so let's tackle the biggest strategic question here. The timing.
Yes. The timing of the communication.
Casey waited until her boss asked her about the photos before she mentioned any problems. Was that the best approach?
Strategically, no. In professional communication, it's almost always better to be proactive than reactive.
Proactive meaning you act before something happens.
And reactive means you wait until someone else forces you to act.
By waiting, Casey put herself on the defensive. The boss was immediately suspicious.
A proactive approach would have been for Casey to go to her boss 3 weeks ago, as soon as Michael got sick.
Or the moment she found out the files were lost.
Yes, and that conversation would follow a simple rule. We call it the apology, reason, solution rule.
Okay, break that down for us.
Certainly. First, the apology or acknowledgement. You start by saying you understand the deadline is important. I know the press kit deadline is crucial, and I have to report a delay.
Okay, then the reason.
You give the clear, specific reason using the language we learned. We ran into a major problem that was beyond my control. The design team lost all the files.
And finally, and this is the most important part, I think, the solution.
It is the most important part. You never present a problem without a proposed solution.
So instead of just asking for an extension, she should have proposed the new date.
Exactly. Based on the time needed to redo the files, I propose we push back the deadline to next Tuesday. I'll work overtime to meet it. Does that work for you?
That structure is so powerful. It shows responsibility. It makes the delay feel like a managed problem, not a failure.
Exactly. When you are proactive, you manage expectations. When you wait, like Casey, the boss's expectation is already set, and they feel disappointment and frustration.
So communicating early manages their expectations gently before the pressure builds up.
And finally, let's just quickly look at what the boss says at the very end.
He says, I want those photos ASAP.
ASAP, a very common work abbreviation. We see it in emails all the time.
It stands for as soon as possible.
Right. It's a way of saying, do this now. This is the highest priority. Don't put this off any further.
So even though he sounds angry, he's still using standard business language for urgency.
He is. And it means Casey has her unofficial extension, but now the heat is really on to deliver.
This has been such a rich deep dive, full of practical language and really crucial communication strategy.
It has. So let's quickly review the key takeaways you can start using today.
We covered the foundational vocabulary, deadline and extension.
And we clarified that when problems happen unexpectedly, you ran into them, and if a project is late, it is delayed.
We also gave you 3 fantastic fluency builders. The polite opener, I've been meaning to talk to you.
The professional justification, beyond my control.
And the phrasal verb, put this off, meaning to postpone.
By mastering these phrases and by committing to that proactive apology reason solution structure, you will sound so much more professional and confident.
You'll know exactly what to say to explain the situation and manage expectations.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we sign off, let's leave you with one final thought for reflection, something to think about. We talked about how Casey waited for her boss to ask for an update. If you're always waiting for your boss or your client to ask you, you're signaling that you're waiting to be managed.
But if you proactively approach them with bad news and a solution, you signal that you are a manager of your own time and your own responsibilities.
So, which of those two styles, proactive or reactive, best reflects the kind of professional you want to be?
It's a great question. Taking responsibility means owning the communication process, not just the task itself.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into essential professional English. We hope this lesson helps you sound natural, confident, and clear.
Continue practicing these phrases, and we will see you next time for more Native Ear.
Goodbye for now, and keep learning with Native Ear.